Welcome to Almost Agreeable.
Almost Agreeable.
With your hosts, Chris Nellison and Ed Harris. Hang around and listen to opinions on sports, movies, music, and whatever else pops in our head.
All right, and welcome back to a halfway point of the season episode of the NFL. This is Almost Agreeable. I'm Chris. With me, as always, is Ed. And we are now officially halfway through the regular season of the NFL season. I said season too many times in that sentence. Sorry, I was constricted by my own word usage.
Okay. Yeah, we're midway through the season, so, I mean, the last sports one kind of ended on some hot routes of, like, the status of, maybe individual players or awards, but now we're kind of going over the entire league. Of course, we're going to go over some pivotal games just because that kind of went towards the status of the league,
Right. And, I mean, you really, at this point in the season, are getting a sense of what kind of is trending, like where some teams are going to end up, or who's a contender, who's a pretender, and who is, like, middle of the pack. Who is going to be tough outs in the playoffs? Who's making run for wild card spots? Because division winners are looking, in most of the divisions, pretty clear.
In I'd say
maybe half.
I'd say I mean, I was gonna say more, like maybe 5/8 of them. I guess
half.
maybe half.
Maybe half. So I mean,
we'll see. We almost agree.
Yeah, let's see. Let's just talk about a couple games just from week 8 that were pretty important, right? We had a divisional matchup in the AFC East between what we thought was a good team in New England and who people think is a good team in Buffalo. Now, the reason this game is pivotal to me and I want to talk about it is because it's showing us that the Patriots are a bad team.
So they're a team that. So I mean, look, they signed Cam to a very short deal for minimal money, right?
$1 million.
$1 million, like nothing in the scheme of what he's gotten before and what quarterbacks are getting and what really most players are getting. Much more than that.
Yeah.
So it's too early for people to say who won this divorce.
I agree. I would say, because I think I was talking about it with a colleague earlier, like straight up, like Tom Brady went to a situation where he had so many weapons, so many established things, an established defense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, head coach Bruce Arians, Gronk came on board. And like with the Patriots, it's like head coach has got to adjust now to the GOAT leaving his team. He gets the benefit of the doubt of at least a season of tinkering with the roster and finding a new system for a new quarterback he's going to have to bring in. Belichick has the benefit of the doubt in my mind. So
yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is too early to pick a winner of the divorce, as you put it so eloquently.
So it, I don't know if you saw or any of the viewers heard or saw what Bill Belichick said. He's quoted as saying, he said, I mean, look, we paid Cam Newton $1 million. It's obvious that we didn't have any money. It's nobody's fault. That's just what we did the last 5 years. We sold out. Like, we won 3 Super Bowls, played in a 4th, and played an AFC championship game. This year we had less to work with. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact. So, I mean, if you tell me that in 5 years I can win 3 Super Bowls, go to a 4th, and then go to an NFC championship game at all, that's a win. That's a win for any franchise.
Right.
That's a win for any franchise.
The people in fucking Boston are so spoiled.
You know how many franchises don't have 3 Super Bowls at all?
A lot.
Most of them.
Yeah, a lot. A fucking lot. And so, like, yeah, well, and to stick with that game, which the Patriots almost still had a chance to win it. So essentially, like, I am firmly a believer that the Buffalo Bills are a pretender.
Just straight up a pretender.
Yep. Like, as far as contenders and pretenders go, Buffalo, in my mind, is a pretender.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I mean, they're going to win the AFC East. So let's see who's going to have a better record. They'll probably be like a 3 seed. They'll probably be a 3 seed, and then the AFC South will probably have the 4 seed. But I imagine them taking the 3 seed, and then let's see who would they go against, the 6 seed. I could see them making a deep playoff run.
I could see them getting the 3rd seed and then losing to the 6th seed. I mean, you got to think about the AFC, like potential 6 seeds it could be. Okay, in the hunt right now, as the playoffs stand right now, you're going to have Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Kansas City. Those are the division leaders right now.
Yeah.
So those 4 are going. And then you're in the hunts are going to be teams like the Ravens are in.
The Ravens are in.
If the playoffs started now, Ravens are in.
So that's what I'm saying. Either Steelers or Ravens are that 5 seed.
Indianapolis is in. And then in the hunt begins with Raiders, Browns, Dolphins even. Dolphins if they go back to Fitzpatrick.
No, I mean they did well. They beat up the Rams because the Rams are suspect.
The Rams are a pretender as well.
So I mean, I see Buffalo getting that 3rd seed and then winning against that 6th seed. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, in the divisional games. Who they might go up against. But I think they have they clearly do have a firm hold on that AFC East, and like we were talking about at the beginning of the year, this was the year that they could step up and really do that, and they're staking their claim right now.
Only because of the demise of the Patriots. Now, if we're going to stay on this track of thinking like with pretenders and contenders, even with 2 straight losses, I think that Tennessee is still a contender. You come off a tough loss to a team that's still undefeated, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you get beat by the Bengals. Ugly, very not okay, not a good look, But I think that that's just like a lag, off of that loss from Pittsburgh. Like that was an emotional game, came down to the wire. You miss a field goal, you lose the game, and then you go against a team that essentially that game was a trap game. It's like, oh, we just played the Steelers and almost gave them a run for their money. We're going to, play Cincinnati here and we're going to win this one easy. And they didn't. They didn't get a fucking single sack on, like, the most depleted O-line in football.
Well, they have not had many sacks.
No, for all that money they shelled out for Jadeveon Clowney.
And I forget who the other one is.
Yeah.
But they have a combined 0 sacks.
This season.
They're not performing.
No, they're not playing the defense that Tennessee was playing last year.
Correct. And I don't think, like, how you feel about the Bills is how I feel about the Titans. A couple weeks ago, like, we were talking at work, and I was just like, let's not pretend that the Titans are good.
I think the Titans are good. I mean, I think because that division right now is, like, neck and neck. Like, both the top 2 teams in that division are 5-2. Like, the Colts are also a good team. So... But I would still take Tennessee to win that division.
Yeah.
They're the better team.
I can see them still winning the division, but I definitely don't. They're the tier. So there's like that top tier that is amazing, and then there's the really good tier, and then they're the
middle of the pack.
They're a solid tier. They're
How many tiers do you have here? What are your tiers?
Like 9.
Yeah, you can't have 9 tiers.
Okay, look. All right, we have the really good tiers.
No. I want you right now to tell me your tiers, but there can't be 9, Ed.
Okay, look. So we have like the really good. All right. So we have like Baltimore.
We'll call that elite.
Yeah, we have the elite. All right.
Okay.
We have the elite. So that could be like Kansas City, and that could be
Pittsburgh.
And then Baltimore is just below that.
We're gonna get to Baltimore.
Baltimore is just below that, with Seattle and with the Bucks. And then below that is like the Bills, the Titans, the Packers, the Saints. And then below that, we're getting more towards like the Colts and the Raiders and nobody from the NFC East.
So okay, I like it. So if we're just gonna say,
hold on, wait. I need to get to my lowest tier. So I don't know how many tiers I said yes, but let's go down all the way to tier 9, which is the Jets.
Okay, look. This is in my mind. Here's how tiers should go. Okay, elite, good, middle of the pack, bad. 4 tiers. That's it. Because if you have so many tiers, then like if you have 9 tiers, then you could have like 4 teams in each tier. Like the middle of the pack is so broad.
Okay.
The elite teams are so few.
I can get behind that, except for there has to be one more abysmal, because we have at least, I'd say, 3 teams that are just being abysmal.
Jets and the NFC East, that's 5 teams.
Giants.
Giants?
are just really the
What about the Washington football team?
They're also abysmal. So those are the 3 teams. Like, the Eagles and Cowboys are bad.
Okay, bad.
They're bad.
They're bad.
But abysmal, Washington football team, Giants, Jets.
Well, and then, okay, so now we're talking like they're bad because another thing I want to say is like the Chargers, they look good, but they're 2-5.
They're bad. They're on the bad.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They're not abysmal.
They're not exactly. You have to differentiate the bad and the abysmal because there is.
So is that 5 tiers?
That's 5 tiers.
I like 5 tiers.
5 tiers is good.
What was it? Elite, good, middle of the pack, bad, abysmal.
Perfect.
Okay, I like those tiers. From as we're going on through the rest of this podcast, every team we talk about, we're going to divide them into one of those tiers.
We'll put them into that tier.
Okay, so I want to talk about Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Big game.
It was a big game. In that game, Baltimore was running the ball really well.
Baltimore was running the ball really well. They were passing it better than average as well.
Yeah.
And turnovers. You're not going to win if you have all these turnovers. It just doesn't happen.
And, I mean, the thing about Pittsburgh is that no one really is giving them credit. Maybe a few people finally are, but it's like when they played the Titans, they were like, you're going to get beat. They haven't beat anybody. The Titans are going to beat you. Then they beat the Titans. They're like, oh, well, Titans are pretenders. Wait till you play Baltimore. And they beat Baltimore, and everyone's like, oh, you won't beat Kansas City. Well, they don't play Kansas City this season. So shut the fuck up. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a good team. They're in that elite tier.
And honestly, the only reason I put them in that elite tier is because they're 7-0. If they had one loss, they wouldn't be elite. I know that Kansas City has a loss, but they're absolutely still elite. Pittsburgh is elite because they have no losses. They really haven't played anyone tough. Okay, look, you play your schedule. Okay? You can't choose who you play. And it's not like you're going to be playing a lot of tough teams anyway because there's at most only, I'd say, 5 to 7 good to great teams in the NFL. So you play who you play, right? But they beat the Titans when they were on their hot streak. They were 5-0. And now we're kind of seeing what the Titans are, which I think could be a trend with the Titans, just kind of on the downslope. And then they beat the Ravens, which Lamar Jackson has historically been atrocious against. Well, not just bad, atrocious.
Well, he's been atrocious in big games. Let's be real about it. Like, not just against Pittsburgh, but like, not to take away from Pittsburgh, like, because that's a division game. Those games are tough. That game came down to the wire anyways. My thing is, like, they beat the Browns. Browns are, to me, they're a good team. They're not in the middle of the pack. They're in that second tier. Okay, so they beat the Browns. They beat the Titans. They beat the Ravens now. All right, the other wins they've had, like, and this is just classic Pittsburgh playing down to their opponents, not crushing them, but, like, one of the reasons I think they're an elite team is because of their head coach. I love Mike Tomlin. That dude is a fucking hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach, and just been amazing the entire time he's been in Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, he's never had a losing season.
Exactly, right? Because now it's official, like, well, if he wins next week,
then he will have 15 years
straight of not having a losing season. And that's
Is it 14 or 15? I don't know.
I think it might be 14.
It's a long fucking time.
Right.
It's a record, like.
So, and then I want to talk about Baltimore. They're a good team. They're in that second tier. And that goes back to Lamar Jackson not being able to perform in big games. I think his like record is something fucking terrible, like against better teams that, you know, they want to see the marquee matchups. Like, oh, Lamar is gonna play Patrick Mahomes. He's gonna play Big Ben. He's gonna play Titans in the playoffs, and he loses these games. And he doesn't look like the Lamar Jackson we become accustomed to. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that everyone, and we mentioned this I think a few weeks ago, everyone had that whole season last year to look at film. And I'm not saying they figured him out, but they got a pretty good blueprint. And what Lamar has to do now is he has to grow. The same thing we've been saying about Deshaun. The difference here is like, well, it's not really a difference. We need to see growth from both of those guys. And here's just a question that now just evolved into my head. Who makes the transition? Like, who's going to grow? Deshaun or Lamar?
I don't think that Lamar has to grow as much as Deshaun, even though he's a younger quarterback. He's been in the league way less. He still has to grow less than Deshaun Watson. They're both physical specimens. They both are mobile quarterbacks, but in completely different senses. Lamar Jackson, you do a lot of running with him, but I mean, you look at anybody who sets a record Of course they're going to regress. I mean, Pat Mahomes throws for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Nobody expects that's going to happen again. Lamar Jackson breaks the record for rushing for a quarterback. Nobody expects that's going to happen again. Lightning doesn't strike twice. So I don't think he has to grow as much as Deshaun Watson. So I guess if I had to answer that question, it would be Lamar. If whoever grows first and it makes a big change, it'd be Lamar. Because he doesn't have to grow as much to become a complete quarterback. Clutch quarterback. I think he is missing that clutch gene.
Right.
Which can be confused with being flashy.
Yes, I agree, because people get blinders on and they see this and they're like, it just becomes a thing. Like, they're like, yeah, they associate this with that when there's no correlation between the two. So, like I said, not a whole lot. I want to get more into like what we think about this midway point in the season. There's still a couple games I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Monday night game, Tampa Bay and New York.
It's nuts. It was just a weird game. I mean, you're going in at halftime. Like, yeah, the first half happens. Giants scored 2 touchdowns. Patriots scored 2 field goals. So that could have been a tied game if they would have converted those field goals into touchdowns. And then you're going into halftime and you're like, Giants are up. But let's not also forget that not the Patriots. Damn it.
Tom Brady.
That Tom Brady and the Bucs have been down by a large margin for most of their games, and like at the end of the first half.
Right. And then have become a second half team.
Big time.
The adjustments being made at halftime are, classic Bruce Arians, like being the good coach that he is. For me, I see 2 things. I see that the Giants they're in the bad team tier. But I mean, a lot of room for growth there. I like Daniel Jones. He makes a lot of mistakes. And if he cleans those up, and then get Saquon back next season, he can really grow into a good quarterback. The mistakes he made last night are young quarterback mistakes. So let's not forget, this is his second year.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, I can't definitively say, like, I like him, okay? Like, he is a young quarterback. He's second year. Like, you're not going to expect somebody to lead your team
against the GOAT.
It's just not normal. Of course, you would always want your quarterback to come in. Yeah, we got this nice rookie. He's going to do fantastic. You expect growth. You expect a couple years, and he just tightens up maybe decision-making, reading the field, going through his progressions. So you're not expecting this quarterback to just be immaculate from the start. So it's of course, I'm still on the fence. It's only year 2, but I can't definitively say he's bad or he's good. Just don't have enough yet.
Sample size is kind of small. I believe in him. I like him. I think if he can clean up the mistakes, we can see at least a good team in New York. What the fuck is going on the other side of town?
Hey man, they're a collective 1 in 13 or something.
No,
I think it's 1 in 15.
Yeah, 1 in 15.
Perfect.
So that's great. New York is just doing great. If you want to throw the Knicks in there too, then that's just a great sports city right now. The New York Giants being Tom Brady's kryptonite is going to continue to be a thing.
It's hilarious. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because it has only happened twice.
Yeah, but in the biggest of moments.
But in the absolute biggest of moments. People don't forget.
No, they don't. I sure fucking haven't. I wanted to touch on, because of the weather, I want to touch on the Raider game.
Nuts. I think so. The biggest thing that sucks for Derek Carr for this game is that he was leading the league in. Well, he wasn't leading the league, but he was second in the league for completion percentage. And this game kind of puts a squash on that. Not for the year, but definitely brings him down a little bit.
Right.
He just wasn't able to do what he normally does because of all this sleet and the wind, and you're not throwing the ball in that.
Oh, there was a pass he threw to Ruggs. It was deep, and he threw it, and the wind was like, "Ooh, let me help you out with that," and just took it 10 more yards.
Yeah.
And then we didn't see a deep ball from Derek again after that. I mean, it was a ground game, and this is the football that I thought about. Obviously, I wasn't alive, but I thought this is a football game from the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
This is smash mouth, line of scrimmage, domination, football. Like who's gonna want it more? Who's gonna fight harder? And the Raiders. I mean, the score indicates like the grind of that game. It was 16-6. There's only one touchdown in that game.
You know, when you see odd scores like that, you're like, that was a hard game.
Yeah, it was rough, and Raiders pulled it out. A lot of credit to John Gruden. I don't want to hate on Baker, because I can't hate on Baker, and I can't give Derek Carr any credit for that game.
Well, are you putting? So you said you're putting the Browns in the good category.
I am.
I'm putting them in the middle of the pack category.
I think they're a good team.
Those teams are similar. Derek Carr is better than Baker Mayfield, but Cleveland has a better defense than the Raiders.
Well, everyone besides everyone in the NFL has a better defense than the Raiders.
The Seahawks would like a word. But, so those teams are pretty similar. So I would expect them to perform, and they were most of the game. They were right there neck and neck. And then, I mean, they both have similar running games too. They both have fantastic running games, actually.
Yeah, they both do.
So this worked in their favor. Like, hey, we can't throw it. We can definitely run it.
And that's different. Like, that's a Gruden thing. Because, like, we didn't have that the Raiders didn't have that facet, in the last decade. They didn't. And that was the problem, like, with the evolution, like, the Derek coming into the league, and he had to throw the ball all the time. Now he has a running game. I don't want to spend too much time on the Raiders. I don't want to be biased.
Yeah.
I put them as a good team, too. And not because I think, like, it is a little biased, I'm not going to lie, but it's because I think the Raiders can beat any team. I think they can. Like, I mean, they beat the Chiefs this year. We lost to the Bills. We lost to the Patriots, a bad team. We lost, to the... Who else did we lose to? I think those three. That's our three losses. I think that they can beat any team. I think if they make the playoffs, they are a tough out. Like, this is what I'm talking about with the Bills being pretenders. If the Raiders get that 6th seed and the Bills have the 3 seed and they got to play, the Raiders can beat the Bills.
It just all depends. Everything depends, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I just can't put the Browns in the good category because they've won the games they were supposed to win and they've lost the games they were supposed to lose, save the Raiders game, because that's a toss-up.
They were supposed to win that game.
I don't think that's a clear cut.
They were favorites. They were favorites in that game.
They were favorites, but I don't think that was a clear cut.
No, I was like, we can win this game. Like,
I mean, they've beaten the Bengals, the Colts, which is a good win. That's a solid win. But then the Cowboys, when they were doing their nice little slide,
still had Dak.
The Bengals, again, and the football team. So it's not like they've really done anything. And then they lost big divisional games against the Steelers and Baltimore, and then lost to the Raiders. They're a middle of the pack team.
You might have changed my mind. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right because I mean you said you see these two teams are similar. It's like, so if we look at who the Raiders have lost to and who they've beaten, that's the difference between these two teams right now.
Yep.
So, moving on from that, is there any other games from this week you want to touch on before we jump into the just talking about the state of all the teams moving forward from this halfway point?
Yes. So I can say finally, the Vikings have been doing what I said they should do all fucking year.
I can't believe I wasn't going to talk about that. You're right. I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about that, and then I want to bring in some opinions from some listeners.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so we've been talking about the Packers they're a good team. They're in the good team tier.
They're a good team. But
they're soft. Like, every time I think of the Packers, I think of that Kobe Bryant gif where he's calling Dwight soft. Soft. That's what I think about the Packers. You think about the game the Raiders had to play and the Browns had to play. You think the Packers would do okay in a game like that?
That's not fair because
they play in Lambeau.
That's.
I'm not talking about in the sense of that weather. I'm talking about smash mouth football. Your guys are fucking playing hard. The offensive, your line of scrimmage that's the game. This is the line of scrimmage.
So they have Aaron Jones, yes, but they don't.
That's what I mean right now. The team's soft. They don't have that fucking. That dynamic of Aaron Jones right now, And Aaron Rodgers obviously is obviously one of the best talents we've seen. Okay, I'm not taking away from... I will talk shit about Aaron Rodgers later. But right now I'm going to give him some credit. Obviously a big talent. But, like, we saw it, like, in games like that. Like, sometimes you can't throw the ball. And if you don't have Aaron Jones and your offensive line's soft and your defensive line is also soft, what are you going to do? Like, you can't just rely on the one guy. The Seahawks have been doing this for a few seasons, with Russ being the one guy. But it's different because I think Russ is...
Okay. So I think that what Russ is doing now is what Aaron Rodgers has been known to do. And Russ has just been doing it for a while, but Aaron Rodgers has been known to just carry teams. He makes these kind of plays. You are never safe when he's on the field.
But don't you think that it shouldn't fucking be that way anymore? Like, not even in the sense that, like, no one's ever going to figure out... No one's ever going to be, put the clamps on Aaron Rodgers. Like, he still had a good game in the loss.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, as a front fucking office, get this man a complimentary fucking pieces. He always has shit receivers to throw to. He has like one big name and the rest are just guys that he makes look good because he throws the ball at them.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that what great quarterbacks do?
But also it's like, why as an organization would you say, yeah, we got this guy. He's going to make these guys better. It's like, no, get him some fucking help because how many rings does he fucking have?
He has one.
He has one. How many Super Bowls has he been to?
One.
And yet he's this talent, which we agree he is, but like, we want to win.
He historically owns the North. He just does.
King in the North.
So it's not like there's a lot of changes you need to make. Like, it's not quite Tom Brady owning the East, the AFC East, but Aaron Rodgers just does own the NFC North. He just does. So like this is a game that is huge, and it's why I want to talk about it because, I mean, of course you're going to win when Dalvin Cook goes off for more than 200 yards.
My
yards.
God, 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, and has a day.
Let Dalvin cook.
Let Dalvin cook. Absolutely. But this is what I've been talking about. This is a team who has very good pieces. Kirk Cousins is not by any means bad. He makes some bad decisions sometimes, but he is not a bad quarterback. And so they should be performing like
they did this weekend.
And this is not normal. Dalvin had a career day.
Yes, he did.
This is not normal.
And that's what I'm talking about, the defensive line of Green Bay.
But that is what they need. That's what the Vikings need to happen sometimes. They need some star players to pick it up. Can't always rely on Cook, but you can't rely on Cousins. It's got to be a team thing. So it's just that was a big game. Actually, just a big game for the Seahawks as well, just to knock down those Packers a little bit. But this is what I've been saying, that the Vikings are better than their record indicates.
Yeah, no, you've been saying that, and like obviously we got a glimpse of that. Like their roster it's unacceptable that they have the record that they have right now. Unacceptable. Pertaining to that game, like if we're talking about I talked about the defensive line being soft, and obviously one of our fans had noted that the offensive line also looked kind of soft. A listener writes, Aaron Rodgers' own line fucked him. And I want to address this right now. I want to address that statement, okay? Because he follows up by saying 2 of his best O-line players are out. Okay, what team in the NFL is not dealing with injuries? More specifically, what NFL teams are dealing with injuries to their O-line? Okay, my rebuttal first one is Russ didn't have an O-line for years.
For years. And I mean, like, you can say he doesn't have an O-line, but like, he was sacked only one time in that game. It wasn't like they were getting... I mean, yeah, they're getting pressure, but it wasn't like they were just hitting him all the time.
And this is a guy who's known to be like, I thrive on pressure. I'm going to skate the pocket. That's his thing.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, he might have some O-line out. Guess who had all 5 of their O-line out, and they still won against a...
The Bengals.
Yes.
The Bengals did.
Yes.
Guess who also has 2 of their starting O-linemen out? The Raiders. And they ran the ball down the Browns' throat.
So it's this, and this is what we knew was going to happen. You had no preseason games. COVID was going to take its toll. So it was the first 4 games, you knew it was going to be an injury. It was going to be a massacre.
Yeah.
It was going to be a mess. It was going to be a nightmare. So you got to know how to bounce back from that. It really is just last man standing, Last man standing. Like, if you have the least amount of injured players on your team by week 17, you're looking pretty good.
Okay, well, that having been said, let's step away from some of the games that happened last week, and let's just talk about the NFL right now, like what we're seeing as far as trending, and some positive trends, some bad trends for teams. We should actually go through right now the entire league and sort them into the tiers we talked about.
Okay.
Start with the AFC East.
AFC East. All right.
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills are a good team. They're not the elite. They are a good team.
I agree. They're a good team. Miami Dolphins are middle of the pack.
Miami Dolphins are middle of the pack. They could bump with a win next week because they had a bye. With
They could be a good team.
next week, they could be a good team.
You know who they play next week? Arizona.
And with that win, if they win that makes them absolutely
Very
a good team.
The Patriots are a bad team.
Okay.
The Jets are abysmal.
The Jets are abysmal. They coined, like, they earned that.
The Steelers are an elite team.
Okay, onto the AFC North. The Steelers are an elite team. But this is where just, like, the best team is Kansas City still, I feel. So like there's a middle tier in between this good and elite.
No, you're making too many tiers again. You can't just fucking evolve a tier from there. No.
Dude, I am a cake maker. There's fucking tiers, okay?
You're not a cake maker. You don't make any cakes.
Dude, I've made cakes.
You've never made a cake.
I've made a cake.
How come I haven't had any of this fucking cake?
It's been like years, but I've made a cake.
Okay, well, until you fucking make a cake around me, stop making tiers.
Okay.
The Baltimore Ravens are a good team.
They're a good team.
The Cleveland Browns are middle of the pack.
They are a middle of the pack team.
The Cincinnati Bengals are a bad team.
Okay. They are.
Based on their record.
I'm making another fucking tier.
No. No. Before you say it, I'm gonna. Your tier is gonna be teams that are bad because of their record, but like are good. Because I would like that. That's a good tier. I want that tier, but for the sake of this, that is not a tier today. Okay? The Bengals are a bad team, but we can agree that if there was that tier, they're in it because the Chargers are also in that tier.
The Chargers are also in that tier.
The Tennessee Titans are a good team.
Ugh, can't. They're a middle of the pack team. They're leading their division. They are a middle of the pack team. You lose to the Bengals, who have a rookie quarterback, a fine and okay at best run game, and their defense is name like 3 players on it. Like, you lose to that team when people are hyping you up. When you did so well last year, you beat the Ravens, you beat the MVP, and then you lose to a 1-win team. They're a middle of the pack team.
Okay, I think they're a good team.
We're probably about to swap on the next one.
Indianapolis Colts are a good team.
Damn it! I thought you were gonna say middle of the pack.
It's because you're betting on my hatred of Phillip Rivers.
And that's like a sure bet. That's almost a 100%.
See, this is me being objective. I can be objective.
That's bullshit.
Well, that's not. Okay.
All right. So yes, they're a good team.
Okay. The Texans are a bad team. That tier though. That tier you want to do invest.
No, this is not even a tier. They're a middle of the pack team. They had one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen to start out a year. Ever.
They're a bad team.
Bruh,
they're a bad team.
Bruh.
Because as much as like we want to say like they have a great roster and a great quarterback, which Deshaun is a great quarterback, I don't care. This is a mid-season thing. This is a mid-season state of the NFL thing, and they are 1-6.
They are 1-6. They're 1-6.
They're a bad team.
They're a middle of the pack team.
They're not a middle of the pack team.
They're not in the middle of anybody's pack.
Okay, so that excludes them from middle of the pack tier.
Unless the pack was the Steelers and the Jets.
No, you know what? If they were in the NFC East, they still have a shot.
God damn it.
Okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a bad team.
They're a bad team.
Okay, that's it. We don't need to say anything else. Still taking Minshew over Baker. The Kansas City Chiefs are an elite team.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Raiders are a good team.
The Las Vegas Raiders are... That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
They're like right on the border.
See, because they're right in between good
And
middle of the pack, huh?
Yeah.
See, don't we need more fucking?
No,
tiers?
we don't need more fucking tiers.
We need more tiers. We have too many. No, we don't have too many. No, we do have too many good teams. We need to differentiate. Most of the teams should be middle of the pack. That's just what that means. Most of the teams should be middle of the pack, and I think that's where the Raiders are. Their next game is against
Los Angeles.
Okay, their next game is against Los Angeles. Wait.
The Chargers.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what that means. Okay, so the next game is against the Chargers, who've put up fight.
Chargers are a bad team.
They've put up fight, so we'll see. Like, it's a divisional game. It's tough. You never know.
Oh, I only said they're a bad team because I put them in that tier. I think it's going to be a good game, obviously.
Yeah. But they win that. They're definitely bumping them. The Raiders win that. They're definitely showing their stock into being a good team.
Right.
Currently, right now, for me, middle of the pack.
Okay. Chargers are a bad team.
Chargers are a bad team.
Denver is a bad team.
Denver is a bad team, almost abysmal.
Almost abysmal?
They beat the Patriots, but like...
They beat the Chargers.
Did they just beat the Chargers too? Was that game?
Yeah, that was that game where fucking Drew Lock threw the game-winning touchdown.
Alright, they're a bad team.
They're a bad team. Okay, moving on. The Philadelphia Eagles... Okay, can we just skip the NFC East? Can we just say they're all bad teams with the Jets or with the Giants being abysmal?
As well as the football team.
Okay.
Both the football team and the Giants are abysmal.
I don't know. The Cowboys might be abysmal too.
Nah. I don't think they're abysmal. They are just solidly bad.
Okay.
They are the head of the committee for being bad.
Okay. The Packers are a good team.
The Packers are a good team.
The Bears are middle of the pack.
The Bears are a good team.
The Bears are pretenders.
The Bears beat the Bucks.
It was Nick Foles. That's the other kryptonite.
Oh my god.
Nick Foles and New York Giants. Brady can't do it.
So it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
He can only expend one of his energies on each of them a year. So
So if he sees both of them, he's got to pick or choose.
Yeah. So he decided to
take the loss to Nick Foles and then beat the Giants because he couldn't lose, 3 times to the Giants.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Detroit Lions are a bad team.
They are a bad team.
Okay.
That's just simple as that.
The Vikings are a bad team.
The Vikings are a middle-of-the-pack team.
They are not a middle-of-the-pack team because as much as we talk about their fucking talent on that roster, let Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, consistent except for fucking primetime games, they have not done that this season. Because they have this, doesn't just automatically put them in middle-of-the-pack conversation. They haven't performed to their standard, which makes them a bad team. You can have fucking the greatest talent on all facets of the team, but if you're fucking 2-5 and not playing to your standard, you're a bad fucking team. As a matter of fact, that makes you a worse team because you're not playing how you should be.
This 7 seed is really fucking me up, though. I don't know how to gauge anything anymore.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're gonna have to find out, when we get to the playoffs.
This is gonna be really weird.
It is fucking weird. So the Minnesota Vikings are a bad team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are an elite team.
What? Nah.
Yeah.
That's a big nah.
It's a yeah.
So they do not need to fix anything that they're doing at all.
No, not really.
Not letting Brady get pressured, because that's okay. So last night, or I guess this would be 2 nights if you're listening to it, 2 nights ago, Brady was being pressured by the Giants.
Yeah.
So when they were rushing 4 or 5, they're actually getting pressure on him. But when they were rushing just 3, of course, he was able to pick them apart. That's just what happened. So what I saw in that game is that he gets pressured, he gets frustrated. Of course, that's any quarterback.
That's been the knock on Brady his entire career.
Exactly. So he gets pressured, he gets frustrated. So I am calling teams elite if they have nothing to fix. If they have nothing to fix. The Bucs have something to fix. They have one thing to fix. The Bucs are the same as the Ravens, Seattle. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. They're the same as the Ravens. They're the same as Seattle. They are good teams with one thing to fix.
I judge elite teams. I'm putting them in that tier if I think they're Super Bowl contenders. So Tampa Bay is an elite team.
Gross.
New Orleans Saints are Ooh.
They're a good team.
They're a good team.
Oh, you're not convinced.
They're middle of the pack. They're middle of the pack, dude. This has got to be Drew Brees' last season. It has to be.
No.
Yes.
Even without Michael Thomas, they're still a good team.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean no?
It's overtime with the Bears.
Are they not both
lost to the Raiders?
Are they not tied with the Buccaneers for 5-2, or are they?
No, they had a bye, so they're.
Oh, that's right.
They're 5-2,
Bucks
and the Bucks are 6-2.
That's right.
And they, you know what's great? They play next week.
So this will.
So we're gonna talk about that in a hot route later. So don't fucking say anything.
Sick.
Okay, the Panthers are a middle of the pack team.
Solidly. Teddy Bridgewater is playing not out of his mind, but he's playing very well.
Yeah, I like Teddy. The Atlanta Falcons are a bad team.
The Atlanta Falcons, I might say abysmal. I might say abysmal on that. They have just decided they don't want to win. They have decided that they're done. I don't want to play this game. Even though they beat the Panthers, they have decided I don't want to be on this merry-go-round anymore.
Can I interject here with another comment from a listener?
Okay, what do we got?
Okay, I got Matt Ryan as a top 5 QB.
That is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard.
Okay, cool. Name 5 better.
Okay.
This is the easiest question I've ever asked you.
Russell Wilson,
okay.
Tom Brady,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson,
Okay.
Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay, cool. I like that. I think my 5 weren't that, but it was like Rodgers, Wilson, Brady, Brees, Mahomes.
I didn't even say Mahomes
That's
or
what
Rodgers.
I'm saying.
I was thinking so quickly, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, then we have Mahomes and Rodgers. And then...
Dude, Matt Ryan's not even the best quarterback in his division.
Exactly.
He's not even the second best quarterback in his division.
No, he's the third best, tied with Teddy Bridgewater.
He is. Okay, moving on from that. Let's keep going. The Seattle Seahawks are an elite team.
No. And this is by my parameters. If you are an elite team, you have nothing to fix.
Right.
If you're a good team, you have one thing to fix. And I think what everybody knows Seattle needs to fix is...
Their defense.
Their defense, and specifically the yards that they are allowing on their defense. Because they're allowing these very, very long scoring drives. Michael Dixon is the best punter in the league. He pins people back, within the 20 most of the time. But Seattle allows these very, very long scoring drives. And that's honestly just how you beat Seattle. You just continue to do that, have very long scoring drives, eat up the clock, make sure that you do score, and then make sure that Seattle goes 3 and out. And that's it. That's usually what happens.
But it hasn't been happening. They're a personal foul call away from being 7-0.
That is true. That is very true. But they have to shore up that defense.
I agree, but now that we're almost here at the bottom, I only have 4 elite teams. So
Okay.
my elite teams is still very, 4 out of fucking 32.
Okay. That's
So Seattle, Chiefs, Steelers, and Bucks.
fair. Okay.
So let's finish this out. Cardinals are a good team.
They're a solidly good team.
The Rams are a middle of the pack.
The Rams are a bad team. I'm saying straight up they're a bad team. I think the 49ers are better than the Rams, and we'll see in the coming division games. But 4 of the 5 wins from the Rams are from the NFC East. Are we really counting those?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I had to see your reaction. No, but I'm going to say they're still a good team because I think the 49ers are also middle of the pack. No, the Rams are a good team, 49ers middle of the pack. Did I say Rams were a good team, middle of the pack? I think I said they were middle of the pack.
You said they were middle of the pack because I said they were bad.
That's right, they're middle of the pack.
Because I'm swapping what you're saying.
Both those teams are middle of the pack. You think 49ers are a good team?
No. I think 49ers are middle of the pack. Rams are a bad team.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. They're both middle of the pack.
Yeah. So, we'll still see if all of the NFC West can get into the playoffs. They're looking the best to be able to do that, but...
It won't happen.
It's not going to happen. Not when you have the Saints, not when you have
the Packers,
the Bears and the Packers doing what they're doing.
Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I'm going to cover a lot more in the hot routes. So we'll go ahead and move on to that right now.
Perfect. Time for a hot route.
Right. I'm hot routing Ed tonight. I got some hot routes for him. Because it's mid-season, I might do more than 3. We'll see.
What?
Yeah.
Dang.
So, Jimmy G. Injured his first season in San Francisco. Out for the season. Inconsistent play during the Super Bowl run, right? We have that stat where he only threw 7 or 8 times and
threw 8 passes.
8 passes. Didn't really show up in the Super Bowl. Didn't have a great game. Injured again this season. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Might need surgery. Do the 49ers move on from Jimmy G after this season?
How much is left in his contract? He has 2 years after this?
Yeah.
No.
No?
You keep him.
You keep him?
Hang on to him.
Why?
Because he...
We already know he's injury prone.
He is injury prone, but you hang on to him. Well, number one, because at the time that you paid him, he was very highly paid. So it's not a lot right now. You're seeing, Pat Mahomes come out with $50 million contract or per year, whatever. But you hang on to him because he's the guy that doesn't lose you the game. He's not that guy yet.
I think he is that guy.
He's not that guy yet.
Lost him in the Super Bowl.
So you hang out with him, you keep him.
I think it's a mistake.
And then you see the I don't see a problem with what he's doing. I see a problem that you can't ever keep him on track because he's always injured. That's the only issue. Okay.
So you know who they should go after? Top 5 QB, Matt Ryan.
Oh my god. Dude, from red to red, man. Bring him in.
Bring him in.
Matty Ice.
Get him off of a bird team. I think they should move on from Jimmy G. Who is the most surprising team at this point?
The most surprising team.
Whether it be something negative or positive. Who has surprised you the most with either how bad they're doing or how good they're doing? Or both?
Honestly, it would... Okay, so for both, I would say with... and I guess actually this is the same thing, but for different reasons. The Bucks are surprising me.
You didn't think they were going to be this good?
I didn't think they were going to be this good. I didn't think they were going to be they're looking more than solid. They are looking more than solid. They're putting everything together.
They're in your second tier of your 9?
Yes.
Okay.
And my second one for that are the Dolphins. Dolphins are doing better than, I'm sure anybody thought they would. They're second in the division.
I thought you were going to say Dolphins, but for me, I know that we both, when we had Tony on, talked about what Brian Flores is doing in Miami. So I'm actually not surprised what's going on in Miami.
I am surprised because it's very strange to see Miami in that second slot in the AFC East.
Well, yeah, with the decline of the Patriots,
yeah.
It was going to be wild what's going on.
It's strange to see. So they are definitely surprising me with how well... I thought this was, going to be a year where they're making Tua work and kind of working him into it. But, they're trying to work him in earlier. I thought it was going to be a lot later down the line, but they're working him in earlier to see if this does work.
Well, because they have the Texans' first-round draft pick.
Can we become a playoff team while working in a rookie quarterback? Because then it would just work.
Right.
Then you make the playoffs as a rookie. That just gives you confidence and
gives you experience.
You build off that.
Right. Okay. Of the 3 games I'm going to list here, who is it a bigger game for? Who needs to win it the most?
Okay.
Actually, we'll just go through all 3.
Okay.
Who needs to win more, New Orleans or Tampa Bay?
New Orleans, big time. New Orleans, if they don't want the Bucks to run away, if they want this to stay a fight for the rest of the year, New Orleans has to win this.
Okay.
What did they play? The second game of the year or first game of the year?
The first game of the year.
The first game,
and the Saints won.
And the Saints won that. So the Saints need to maintain that dominance and just over the division. You sweep a division rival, that's huge.
I think Tampa Bay needs to win it more because of what you said.
Okay.
Because if they lose, and that they're going to tie, they're going to New Orleans will jump to first place in that division
easily, yeah.
And then they own the tiebreaker.
Yep.
So Tampa Bay needs it more than New Orleans, I think, for that reason. If they want to stay in my elite tier.
Okay.
Seattle at Buffalo.
Man, so who needs to win it more?
Yep.
Buffalo to prove it. Seattle, Buffalo
because they're pretenders.
Because they're in the good. But they're between the good and middle of the pack tier. And so this is a very big prove it game. Everybody knows Seattle. Everybody knows what Seattle can do and what Russ has been doing for years. Mm-hmm. This is a huge prove it game for Buffalo because they've had some slips along the way. They barely beat the Rams earlier, and their record is very nice. But this is a huge prove-it game for Buffalo. I feel like they want this win more than Seattle does.
We're going to find out. I agree. If Buffalo wants to get out of the pretender, they need to win this game. And lastly, Ravens at Colts.
Ooh.
Some good games in Week 9.
That's a solid one.
Who needs that win more?
The Colts. The Ravens are going to the playoffs. It just is going to happen. The Colts need that to get themselves over, because the Titans and the Colts haven't played yet. Or did they play?
No, they have not played.
Okay. So the Colts need that to keep themselves in the running. I don't feel like the Titans are going to run away with anything. That's not how I feel at all. But they need another win to definitely cement themselves and separate themselves, from the Titans. Like the Texans and the Jags aren't going to be chasing them at all. So they're really going to be needing this, because we have these other teams in the division, like the Browns, like the Ravens, and the Raiders, like in the hunt. So if they want to stay, in the hunt ahead of the pack, they've got to win this, because the Ravens will go to the playoffs.
I think the Ravens need to win it more, because if they lose that game, they have the same record as the Browns. Browns have a bye next week. So if Baltimore loses this game, they go down to 5-3. And then the Browns are 5-3. Now they own the tiebreaker at that point, but they're going to play the Browns again. So I think, and also because people are questioning Baltimore now. I think they need the win more. I think we disagreed on all three of those.
Yeah.
Good. I like that. And
fantastic.
And I want to ask another one, but I think we do have to wrap it up, because the other ones I have are very long answers.
Extensive.
Very extensive. So very exciting stuff. Halfway point of the season. A lot to look forward to. We have some great matchups in Week 9. Looking forward to that. And, we'll see how it goes. We'll be back next week and dissect some of those games and talk about some storylines that are going to continue to develop as the season rolls on.
We'll see what comes out the other side.
Right. So as always, I'm Chris.
I'm Ed.
And this has been Almost Agreeable. Thank you for listening to another episode of Almost Agreeable. You can catch all new episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Almost Agreeable.